Hello, this is Lavistro, the Dragon of Cyberspace, coming to you with all news, tips, and tricks within the gaming spectrum. And, well, I've always been a fan of the Dynasty Warriors. Now, mind you, I haven't played since the 360 days, but I loved it. It was like a simple hack and slash game. You run around, and it's kind of like capture the flag, you capture objectives, and you go around slaughtering mindless warriors and stuff like that. And it also kind of, I guess, gave a history of China. But I thought this was interesting. It's from Battling in the Comics, and they said that according to the Dynasty Warriors Origins producer, says less fan service was not an explicit goal, but a side effect of the game's series direction. Sex appeal is still important, so the team worked hard to strike the right balance. She looks pretty right there. And seeking to assure fans as to the continued creative sanctity of their signature Muto-style action games, Dynasty Warrior Origins producer Tomohiko Sho says that the reduced fan service seen in the reboot compared to previous outings was not the result of some ideological censorship, but rather the devs team's desire to produce a more grounded adaptation of Romance of the Three Kingdoms. The 10th entry of the Omega Force developed Koei Tecmo produced hack and slash series. The fact that Dynasty Warriors Origins put players in the front lines of various conflicts that define the end of China's historical Three Kingdoms period is nothing new after all. The series takes place in its interpretation of characters and events from aforementioned novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms, or romanticized retelling of this tomorrow real-world era originally penned by medieval Chinese author Liu Gaozhao. I hope I got that right. Fun fact, as Gozang wrote the novel roughly 1,000 years after its recorded events took place, some historians question the exact accuracy of its historical recollections, with even noted Chinese historian Zhang Zhusheng speculating that the work was 7 parts facts and 3 parts fiction. However, despite this, it is generally agreed that Roman's Three Kingdoms' depiction of the era's military thought, social customs, and so forth are near perfect records of this period's social political norms. However, what set Origins apart from its predecessor is the approach to the material. Rather than its campaign blitzing through the entirety of the Romance Three Kingdoms in one go, and leaning more into the anime with its aesthetics, the game chose to take its time getting to the fall of the Wu Dynasty instead of presenting players with a more grounded, albeit still video game-fied version of this story that not only covers the first half of the novel. And while not necessarily highlighted as part of the game's marketing, one additional difference in Origins takes on the franchise identity is that the versions of various female characters like Sun Shang-Xing, Yu Ying, and Diao Chan are dressed less fantastical than their previous counterparts, with their bare legs, sleeveless widows, and other such design elements being replaced with more realistic garb in their respective player physics. Given the current state of puritanism that happened to be sweeping the globe, it came as a little surprise that among the discovery of female-centric design, she's been to begin to question whether Omega Forge or Koei Tecmo had just begun deferring their characters' design intentions to the ever-changing whims of internet scolds. But according to Sho, it seems this was far from the reality of the situation. Sho, who currently served as president of Dynasty Warriors, develops Omega Force, and his previously provided talents as lead designer and producer of the entire series core line, offered insight to this topic while speaking with 2chan image board founder and current 4chan owner Hiroyuki Nishimura about Origins for the latest century. I tried treating Hiroyuki to a game, a regular featured, hosted by Den Family Nico Gamer, in which Japanese news outlet presses the eponymous internet icon as his thoughts on whether or not it happens to currently catching his interest. For translation of an interview provided by ChatGPT, pressed by Hiroyuki, the game gives off the impression that there's less fan service than usual. Was that intentional or just how things turned out? Sho explained it wasn't that we set out with an explicit goal of reducing fan service. Rather, we focused on maintaining the overall tone of the game, and our general approach was to remove anything that didn't quite fit. That said, well, some yaoi elements and puns still snuck in, he left. But aside from that, the way we present the characters, protagonist could be described in simple terms as a more serious or grounded. We had a clear goal to highlight the appeal of Romance of the Three Kingdoms as much as possible, and since we were still aiming to create a story that players could really get immersed in, the fan service naturally ended up being reduced. So quickly met with observation with Hiroyuki that even in fighting games, female characters often end up having fan service elements added. So I felt like your decision was not to go for that route was deliberate and a thoughtful one. The Dynasty Wars mainstay assured. For example, with Sung Shing-chi, we felt that forcing fan service just didn't quite suit this title. As for Dial Chan, her role in the story was very important and serious, so we decided we were quite clear about the direction we wanted to go for her. As by his host, Dial Chan's the kind of character that would still work even if you made her super fan servicey though, right? Show further detail. In this version, Dial Chan has a unique background. For instance, she's been trained in martial arts, so we want to make sure her outfit looked realistic for someone who can actually fight. If we forced fan service into her design, it would feel out of place during combat, so we initially tried to minimize it. I'm essentially aware of how much bombastic this admission could come off devoid of further context. The producer made sure to explicitly note, of course, sex appeal is still an important element, so the team worked hard to strike the right balance. That said, looking at the big picture, it might be that I personally love old man and grandpa characters, and since the team spent a lot of energy on them, the fan service side naturally took a back seat. He laughed once more. This time as he and Hiroyuki moved to draw this portion of the competition close, this time around, we also put a lot of effort to making the old guys as appealing as possible. Even the few female characters, we made sure they blended in naturally among all the old men, and I think we found a good balance here. Well, what do you think, viewer? Do you think there was censorship involved, or do you think he's being honest, transparent, that they did try to find the right blend? Put your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, happy gaming.
Worlds clash in endless collision, gaming news with a fierce precision, with a spark so wild it breaks the norm. In the tempest eye, a cyberstorm. Reclaim gaming and dragon cast. Fire breathing wide, screaming loud. Lavistro's here to shake the crowd. Psychotic dragon ready to ignite. Hold on tight.